Throughout America's existence, discrimination and privilege have played a huge role in the development and advancement of the American democracy that is so easily recognized today. From racism and sexism to classism and the discrimination against sexual orientation, these forms of discrimination have driven the cause for concern, discussion, and reform. Even during our brief time at Georgia Tech, we have seen displays of discrimination. Though we choose not to discuss the topics of racism and sexism at Tech, our project focuses on the topic of financial discrimination, specifically with club and organizational dues.
Many clubs and organizations on campus require dues from prospective members. These dues can typically range anywhere from $20 to $200. Some students who would like to join the clubs are not able to join because of these dues, regardless of their qualifications or interest in the clubs. As a result, these clubs effectively discriminate against students who cannot afford to pay said dues.
I wanted to join the RoboJackets Club, and the dues were $50. Before I looked at the dues, I wanted to mentor through the RoboJackets Club for our local FIRST Robotics team.
By discriminating against students of lower socioeconomic status, these clubs are restricting these students' quality of education. When applying for jobs, students with experience in clubs such as RoboJackets or GT Motorsports will be seen as far more favorable than those who did not participate in those clubs. Therefore, the students who could not participate in these clubs, despite having the interest and qualifications, are severely disadvantaged in the job market due to the dues required that the club had.
When I first learned about the dues, I thought they were a little excessive, especially considering the fact that I was mentoring a local team, a volunteer activity on my own time. The dues were a huge factor in my decision, especially considering the fact that I wanted to join the club, but I could not simply because I did not want to pay the dues. I felt like I was at a serious disadvantage compared to other members of the club who could afford to pay the dues. As a result of not paying the dues, I just could not work in the RoboJackets shop, a huge disadvantage to a team that doesn't have nearly enough resources.
Another student, an African-American female freshman, wanted to become a member of NSBE, or the National Society of Black Engineers. Because the dues were so pushed for the organization, she was stressed and had to use her graduation money, which was allocated for her books and school supplies, to pay for the organization's dues. She says, quote, "Although I paid for these dues, I do feel bad that I did not have the money up front for the organization, which did make me physically stressed." She also describes how not being a part of NSBE would disadvantage her because of the job opportunities that the organization brings.
In order to counteract this discrimination, we've proposed that the Student Government Association play a bigger role in providing these students with funding. More specifically, we propose that the Student Government Association offer to pay the dues of students who cannot afford to pay on a case-by-case basis. With proper verification, students will be enabled to participate in clubs and have a fuller college experience without having to sacrifice too much financially. One problem that could arise is marginalization of the students who are funded by the Student Government Association. This problem would be remedied by enforcing confidentiality. This will prevent marginalization and potentially encourage other students afraid of marginalization to apply for funding.
Not being able to join the RoboJackets Club, this is a significant disadvantage to my college career. I didn't want to have to pay dues to volunteer for something that I'm using a personal sacrifice for. These dues made me feel completely discriminated against.